the 90s, he sat on at the time it was the Youngstown District Scholastic Soccer Coach Association. Now we're the Mahoning Valley. But he sat on the board with me back then. And God, I think that was 30 some years ago, though I can't remember. It was a long time. But Luke Cali has not only been a staple and paved the way for a lot of programs in the infancy of their schools, but he's also became a friend of the game, and he's became a friend of mine. And he had, his tenure took him from Youngstown Cheney, which he may, I don't know if anybody else has ever coached Youngstown Cheney, but, and then from there to Warren JFK, to Cardinal Mooney, and Allen. He served as the assistant and the head coach at several of those schools for nearly 30 years, from 93 to 2019. As a head coach, he accumulated 135 career wins. His team won the district championship 9 times in 11 appearances. And in his time at Cardinal Mooney, he was part of 10 consecutive district championship teams. Lou has been the district coach of the year 3 times and twice selected as Ohio Coach of the Year, while once being named as a regional Coach of the Year. Besides that, he's given to the game, and he's always been a friend of the game. And he still stays in touch, even though he's not around all the time. He still knows what's going on, and you'll get a congratulations from him or an attaboy. And at this time, I'd like to bring Luke Cali up and have him say a couple of words.
All right, can everybody hear me? Way in the back? I got a lot, you can hear me? Okay, we're good. I got a lot of meaningless stuff to say, so I gotta make sure that everybody can hear and listen. First of all, thank you, Scott, thank you to the committee. It came as a total surprise to me. When I was a member of the board here, shamefully, our Hall of Fame partner kind of grown a little dormant, and I didn't even know if it was still going. And I live in Florida now, so I am at a auto dealership complaining, if I can say bitching, I think I can say bitching, about having to pay $1,300 to get my car fixed. And I look out and my phone starts ringing, I see Scott McMillan. I'm going, oh no, because I text with Scott periodically, and then maybe we'll talk to him when I run my yearly Super Bowl block poll, but the first thing I thought of was somebody died. And I pick up the phone and he says, hey Lou, and I go, yeah, what do you want? Come on, I gotta pay a lot of money here for my car. And he says, just wanted to let you know that I nominated you and you've been elected to the Hall of Fame. And honestly, it shook me. I was in total shock, and quite honored. And I kind of made a miserable day into an absolutely wonderful one. Also, the timing of this is absolutely perfect. Tomorrow, on the girls' side, you're going to have 2 of my closest friends in the coaching game go in. Josh McMillan, who's sitting right there. Somebody that I can tell you how many scouting reports we've traded over the years, how many texts, how many phone calls, how many, conversations about how to organize a practice. And then one of my oldest friends in the game, Roy Schmidt, who wasn't supposed to be here until tomorrow and decided to stop by and surprise me. And he and I played against each other, coached against each other, played together, coached together for probably 35 years, maybe longer. I don't recall. I know Josh over here, who I just mentioned, he's got a stopwatch. Because the longest, now he's putting his hands up, the longest Hall of Fame speech on record is 10 minutes. And I swore that I wouldn't go longer than that because nobody wants to be up here and listen to me talk, so we'll just go on. I want to thank my loved ones, my love of my life, Sandy, who's over there for some ungodly reason is videotaping this. My son George and his wife Espe, 2 of my other loved ones that couldn't be here, Tyler and Sam, even though they wanted to, they're down in Florida. And I know I saw a little baby over there, so I'm going to join in on this. And I know there's a lot of good-looking people here, but by far the best-looking one is my new 16-month-old grandson, Jorge, who's sitting back there. And 2046, remember, when he's on the World Cup team, you guys remember that this is where you first met him. This is the only other part that I'm going to talk about me. Somebody asked me, what prompted you to start coaching? When did you start coaching? And I said, Howell Athletic Club, I think asked me when I was in my 20s if I wanted to, pick up a team. And I said, yeah, but I went back a lot longer than that. When I was 9 years old, I was actually born in Ecuador. And when I was 9 years old, my parents emigrated legally to this country. And this was in the early 70s, I'm dating myself, and there was no soccer around here. Nobody knew anything about the sport, and that's all I knew. So I had this little rubber rhinoceros, I think it was a bath toy or something. I was fourth grade at St. Peter and Paul School in Warren, and I decided, I'm going to teach my class soccer. So I took the little rhinoceros, I was our ball, laid down jackets for goals at both ends, and I guess that's when I actually started coaching. But the reason I'm up here, two reasons why I'm up here right now are, number one, I'm old, and number two, I had a lot of great players along the way that allowed me to get to this point. How am I doing on time so far, Josh?
You're good.
Okay, so good. So I want to address three things. First of all, I want to address the older coaches in this room, the ones that have been around the game for a long time. You guys are the foundation of everybody else, as were the coaches before me. I thank you for your dedication. I thank you for your commitment, for your love of the sport. Because if you really wanted to take a look at how much we get paid for doing this stuff, it's maybe $1 an hour. I mean, you guys spend a lot of time on and off the pitch trying to get this sport moving forward and trying to impact kids' lives. So I want to thank every one of you. Some of you may even remember having to line the field yourselves. I know I do. Secondly, younger coaches. One piece of advice to the younger coaches here. I hope that you guys stay in it for a long time because you're going to impact a lot of people. Be open-minded. Don't be stubborn. I was a 20-some-year-old kid thinking I knew everything about the game. And as it went on, I realized I really knew nothing. Always be open to other advice. And if something's not working, scrap it, go to something else. You guys are going to impact a lot of people, a lot of kids in this world if you continue coaching. It's funny because I was in it for so long, I don't remember a lot of the wins. I don't. I remember more losses. But what I remember, and what you guys will remember, the younger ones, as you get done coaching, you're going to remember relationships. You're going to remember the impact that you had on young people's lives. It's funny, I had a young man who was a freshman when I was coaching at JFK. He was a goalkeeper. And this tough kid to coach, a really talented player, but didn't want to study. He wasn't college material, as they say. Well, he ended up playing 4 years for me. He told me, he goes, I'm going to college. I said, well, I wish you luck. 4 years later, I get a little invitation. He goes, hey, coach, I graduated in 4 years with honors, and I wanted you to come to a little graduation luncheon we're having for me. I said, oh, great. So I was expecting, quite a few people there. It was his parents, his best friend, and me. And I was like, okay, I did make an impact on him. And to this day, we keep in touch. So remember that, for the younger coaches, you are there to impact lives, not just make better soccer players. That comes along with it. And the last thing that I'm going to talk about is to the players. Remember that a lot of you guys may never play soccer again, because a lot of you award winners are seniors. You may not play organized soccer again. Some of you will go on to college and play. Some of you will play men's league in the future, and some of you are still coming back. For those that are coming back, you guys are the better underclassmen on your team. When you're at practice, remember that other players look up to you. Don't let them take a second off during practice. They're looking up to you. Your team is going to be as good as you decide to make them, along with the coaching staff. They see that you practice hard, everybody else is going to practice hard because they're looking up to you. One thing that I'll pass this on, one of my favorite quotes, and it was from Anson Dorrance, the North Carolina coach. And it basically touches on the fact that you can only get so much better at practice and in games. You're going to get better on your own. And that quote, and I have to read it because I can never remember it, it says, The vision of a champion is someone who is bent over and drenched in sweat at the point of exhaustion when no one else is watching. It's when they're working on their own, and that's how you're going to become better. Aside from that, this is for everybody out there. I truly believe that God has a plan for every one of us, and you have to forget. There's times when you're gonna come to a crossroads in life when you're gonna think, oh, why is this happening to me now? Go through that, get through that. You know, I've had a couple of occasions in my life. I passed up a dream job. For those that don't know, I was a sports writer for a while. I passed up a dream job covering the NBA in another city because, and this is the first time you would have heard this, but I was in the middle of a custody battle for my son. And I couldn't leave. And as it turned out, a year later, my dad died, so I got to spend the last few minutes along with him. And then a few years later, I got a job to coach in college. It was going to be my son's senior year. I had gone to Mooney to go through 4 years of high school with him, and I thought, you know what, I can't do this now. And then he went through some tough times his senior year, some losses in his life, and he needed me there for. So just remember, God has a plan, you work hard, and everything's going to work. Finally, I don't have a whole lot else to say. Hopefully I didn't keep you too long, didn't bore you too much. I want to thank you guys. I'm humbled, I'm grateful, and I will definitely cherish this for the rest of my life. Thanks, guys.
On behalf of the Mahoney Valley High School Coach Association, and appreciation for a guy that gave a lot to this game, Cali. Congratulations. One little thing about Lou that, correct me if I'm wrong, Lou was at Kennedy, and I think he lost every game in the regular season, and they won district. So he got to the playoffs and won all the games and won his district after going through an 0-13 or whatever it was back then, because we didn't play the big schedules that we have now. But I'll never forget that, Lou. And I'll never forget the Cheney that killed besides that. But thank you again for what you've given to the game.